Hey everyone, welcome to another session of CeerazzleDazzle Physics. In today's session, we're going to be talking about the electromagnetic spectrum. So, what is the electromagnetic spectrum? It is simply a range of frequencies of electromagnetic radiation. It is a range of frequencies of electromagnetic radiation. Let's put that down. So, it is a range of frequencies of electromagnetic radiation. Electromagnetic radiation. Right, so we can see that we've got a spectrum here. On one side, it's got a very long wavelength. But as you go across, we can see that the wavelength decreases. Yes, can we see the peaks getting closer and closer together? So long wavelength on one side, short wavelength on the other. And as you go across, we can see that what's happening to the frequency. Frequency is the number of waves per second. We can see that as you go across, the frequency is increasing. So as you go across, the frequency is increasing. Wonderful. Right, so as you go across, the frequency is increasing. Now, there are different parts of the spectrum. We're going to label them today. So, right on where there are the longest wavelength, this is radio waves. The next one along is going to be microwaves. Microwaves. The next one will then be infrared. Infrared radiation. I put the word radiation down here. And then afterwards, we're going to end up with visible light. So this is the visible light spectrum. And in visible light, we still have the waves which are Richard of York gave battle in vain. So within visible light, there's a spectrum within it. So visible light, and after visible light, we have ultraviolet. And then following that, we have X-rays. And last of all, but not least, gamma rays. So, as we can see across the spectrum, we go from radio waves to microwaves to infrared radiation, visible light, ultraviolet, X-rays, and then gamma rays. As you go across, the wavelength decreases and the frequency increases. What properties do they all have in common? Number one, they travel at the same speed. So they all travel at the speed of light. So they all travel at the speed of light. Yeah, they all travel at the speed of light. Second of all, they can all be reflected, refracted, and diffracted. So they can be reflected, refracted, or diffracted. So they obey the normal properties of waves. Easy stuff, yeah? There's a great song on YouTube, if you just Google it, Electromagnetic Spectrum song, and you'll have a nice, cool song which it helps you to memorize the order of those waves. Okay, so they travel all at the speed of light. They can be reflected, refracted, or diffracted as well. Okay, or diffraction, or diffracted. Let's go. Diffracted. Here we go. Right, now, scrolling down. We then have the uses of electromagnetic waves. So what are the uses of electromagnetic waves? You've got to be able to identify some of the uses. So we'll do a couple of the easy ones first. Radio waves, they're first of all used in radios. And therefore, they're used in communication. Yeah, microwaves are used in heating food. Yeah, in our local microwaves in your house. And also for mobile phone communication. Mobile phone communication. Infrared radiation is used in thermal imaging. And also it's used in remote control. So whenever you use a remote control, it shoots a beam out of infrared radiation. So remote controls. Visible light, that's a bit different, but we know that from everyday life. It's used in just normal sight and fiber optic cables. Fiber optic cables. Ultraviolet is used in tanning beds, and also it's used in detecting forgery. X-rays are used in medical imaging, and gamma rays are used in sterilizing equipment, and if not sterilizing equipment, it can be used in the treatment of cancer. So there we have it, guys. We have defined the electromagnetic spectrum. We can see that's made up of different waves within it, and they all have a couple of properties which are similar. So they travel at the speed of light, they can all be reflected, refracted, or diffracted. As you go across the spectrum, the wavelength decreases and the frequency increases, obviously because they're inversely proportional to one another. And we now have identified some of the uses of electromagnetic waves. So you've got to memorize the uses of each of those waves. This is quite an easy topic. So let's scroll down last of all for the summary. So the summary is going to be: the electromagnetic spectrum is a range of frequencies of electromagnetic radiation. All of them travel at the speed of light and can be reflected, refracted, and diffracted. Yeah. From longest to shortest wavelength, we go radio waves, microwaves, infrared radiation, visible light. Missing one. Ultraviolet. So ultraviolet goes in here. Ultraviolet. X-rays. And then gamma rays. And that's it for today's session. I shall see you next time for more cool physics. Goodbye.